The United States will withdraw from the Paris Climate Accord.
President Trump made that announcement 1 year ago today. Former New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg is working to bypass the president's opposition to the Paris Climate Agreement. Bloomberg is launching a new effort this morning to help the U.S. achieve the goals adopted by the Obama administration.
The centerpiece is a $70 million American Cities Climate Challenge. The program will select 20 U.S. cities and help them speed up their efforts to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. The program aims to push the U.S. toward the Paris Pledge to cut greenhouse gases by 26% from 2005 levels by 2025. That's 7 years from now. Bloomberg's best-selling book, Climate of Hope, co-authored by Carl Pope, is now available in paper book. And we're pleased to have Michael Bloomberg here. Good to have you. So how does this program help cities try and tackle climate change?
Well, cities are where the people live. 70% of the people live in cities or getting close to that. If you use energy in the city, even if pollution comes from the power plant, if you'd cut back your energy use in the cities, wherever the power plant is would cut back its pollutants. What's happening in the world is very worrisome. Nobody knows where it goes. Scientists have theories about it, but the direction is horrendous. It was 122.4 degrees in Pakistan 2 weeks ago. It was over freezing on the North Pole. 17 out of the 18 warmest years on record have been since the year 2001. Something is going on, and it just makes no sense to continue in the direction we're going. We should take prophylactic actions now. Cut back greenhouse gases, increase the fuel efficiency of cars and things like that, generate solar and wind power, which is cheaper now than fossil fuel power. It's good economics, it creates jobs, and it protects us of what might happen down the road.
I've noticed you're making this announcement on the one-year anniversary of the president's decision to withdraw from the Paris Climate Change. There are some experts that say that his decision has actually spurred more action on climate change, like a backlash. Well,
I've joked a little bit about it, but it is easier to raise money for sensible gun regulations and background checks and for climate change things because he's come out, and I've joked that I want him to do more. Actually, my great hope is that the president will take a look at he's been getting bad advice, and he'll change his mind. And we've watched him. He can change his mind, changes it frequently. Hopefully he'll come around and do something that makes some sense. Not doing anything about climate change really makes no sense whatsoever. And it jeopardizes all of us, not only for the long term, but your children have a greater risk of having an asthma attack. You have a greater risk of getting stomach cancer if the air and the water isn't clean. So if you don't worry about the future, just worry about you and your family today, and you do the same thing.
Mr. Mayor, is there a way to go around obstacles like this in Washington? Is this a template for, well, first on the climate change question, is there a way to go around Washington as you're trying to, or does there have to be some action?
Well, the federal government doesn't have a lot to do with climate change, John. Really, it is. President Obama did get a law passed. Donald Trump said he stopped the law. He didn't. It's been tied up in the courts and never put into place. So the federal government's not involved. The state government's only a little. It's city governments and the private sector. Mostly the private sector. If you turn off your air conditioner before you leave in the morning, if you buy a more fuel-efficient car, if you switch to LED and complex fluorescent light bulbs, you will do something. Talk to corporations. Corporations are under big pressure from their employees, their customers, but mainly their investors to do something. And so they're trying to be more climate friendly.
As a former mayor, let me ask you the politics about this. As a mayor, I think of potholes and keeping the snow off the roads because I grew up in the East Coast.
Potholes are bad, too, in the city.
But constituents would say, stop worrying about the temperatures in Pakistan, fix things here. So how do the politics work?
The politics are 80 or 90% of the public thinks climate change is real and thinks we should do something about it. Yeah. And even in Congress, where it used to be a commie plot, this climate change stuff, now they say, well, it's happening, but it's not man-made. You can measure what goes into the air. You can measure when you have dirty air what happens. And so you stop and think of what the Secretary of Energy, of Environmental Protection, Pruitt's saying. This is craziness. If there's any possibility of the end of the world happening, you should take action. Even if you think it's negligible, it doesn't matter. Yeah. The consequences are so bad, it's just irrational to not continue to do some of these things of reducing climate change factors. And even, for example, the president, or Pruitt, I guess it was, said that they want to roll back the requirements for automobiles to be more fuel efficient and pollute less. automobile companies don't want you to roll it back. Right. The president of Ford yesterday said, no, we like this regulation. It's a new world. We should be more environmentally friendly, or we're not going to have a business down the road.
This is the automakers being required to double their fuel economy standards to an average of more than 50 miles a gallon to 2025. And as you said, the automakers say yes. And now the president is going to...
Partially, if they don't do it, other companies around the world are going to do it. From a competitive point of view, everybody wants more fuel-efficient stuff. Now, I can't tell you everybody does everything perfectly every day, but people are worried when they see things happening to not take appropriate preventive actions, which generally don't hurt anybody, don't cost any money. Most of the stuff, if you switch, for example, from coal to natural gas, you save a lot of money. If you switch from natural gas to solar and wind, you save a lot more money. So the coal-fired power plants want to move. And so far, it's something like 268 coal-fired power plants have announced that they're closing out of 530. And that's brought down greenhouse gases a lot in America.
Mr. Mayor, everybody knows you have a lot of money and you like to do it to use good. I loved your opening letter to Bloomberg Philanthropies, where you said, in God we trust, everybody else bring data. And what is the data showing you about education? Because you're also putting a lot of money to education, $375 million you announced yesterday. To do what?
Gail,
this is huge.
Education is going to be more and more important as the world changes, as social media and technology influences our lives. If you don't have a good education, you have a very small chance of being wealthy and being comfortable and being able to just make ends meet on all levels of the economic spectrum.
So in less than 30 seconds, what do you want to do?
You want to improve the school system. Our school systems have been going down compared to the rest of the world. China is improving their schools. They are the most environmentally friendly country. They're going to all-electric cars as their objective. They're moving coal-fired power plants away and doing everything. We're going in the other direction, and the president says he's worried about competition with China. So am I. They have a 5- and 10-year plan. We have a plan. Our economic plan is the next temporary budget cycle, 3 months.
Mr. Bloomberg, Mayor Michael Bloomberg, we miss you. Always good to have you at the table. The paper book edition of Climate of Hope is on sale wherever you like to buy your books.